Hey everyone! Feel like making a dress today? Doesn't matter, that's what we're doing. To begin, let's disable the viewport visibility of our leg and shoe objects. Shift A, add a circle. We don't need a lot of geometry to begin with, so change the vertices to 8. Tab into edit mode. Hit numpad 1 to go into front ortho view. Grab on the Z axis and move to here on her dress. Scale down to approximately her body size. Let's mirror our object, so select these 3 vertices and delete them. Go into the modifier tab, add a mirror modifier, and a subdivision modifier. Select all, and inside ortho view, scale down on the Y axis. Her body isn't completely circular, more like an oval. So select these 2 vertices and scale them on the Y axis to match the reference. Select these 2 and move them out slightly on the X axis. If you hold shift while dragging, the vertices move much more slowly, so you can make finer adjustments. Pull this vertex out more on the X axis as well. Select all with A, and extrude up with E. Move this upper loop forward. Enable clipping on the mirror modifier and scale down on the X axis. The light blue line on the reference is the silhouette of her dress object. Now scale down on the Y axis. Move this vertex in on the X axis. Edge slide it along this side edge by double tapping G. Select these 2 vertices over here and move them back on the Y axis. Move this vertex in on the X axis. And forward a little. That kinda looks like the shape of a dress so far. In edit mode, increase the viewport level of our subdivision modifier to 2. Control R to add an edge loop down the middle. Pull these back 2 vertices back. Move this one back a bit as well. Continue to shape as you see fit. Add another edge loop and position stuff to match the reference. Pay attention to the corner vertices, they determine part of the curvature of your object. Where they are isn't as easy to tell from the orthographic reference, so you have to kinda eyeball where they should go. Add in edge loops wherever you need more geometry to match the reference. And as always, adjust the curvature by eye. The subdivision modifier should help you keep it fairly smooth. Select all and shade smooth. I sometimes like to look at how everything is working together and admire my work in progress. Alt select this upper loop and extrude up. In front view, scale down on the X axis. In side view, scale down on the Y axis. Shape this loop. Select this upper loop and extrude up again. Rotate by about 8 degrees. And move the front forward. Do the obligatory shaping. Select this upper loop and extrude another loop out. Scale on the X-axis. Shape everything. New connected geometry with the subdivision modifier will change the shape of pre-existing stuff, so sometimes you need to go back and touch up. You might find it more helpful to extrude out an entire rough shape and then do the fine tuning afterwards. When everything looks good, select these two front vertices and extrude them to the back of the neck. Add a few edge loops by hitting Ctrl R and scrolling your mouse wheel. Move these new edges forward and shape everything. Select these three vertices and make a face. Time to look at how everything looks again. Rename this new object to something that makes sense. Blender uses the name of an object to determine its random assigned color, so its color changes when you change the name. Drag this new object into our Marnie collection. Let's add her neck now. Shift A, add a circle. Change to 8 vertices. Tab into edit mode. Position on the Z axis so it lines up with this line on the reference. Rotate it to match this line as well. Scale down to match the reference. Scale down on the X axis. Like always, we're going to mirror this object, so select this side and delete it. Add a mirror modifier and enable clipping. Select these back two vertices and scale up on the X axis. Edge slide a tiny bit. Select all and extrude down. Inside view, position these vertices about like this. And add an edge loop down in the middle. Select this front vertex and move it in a bit. Now straighten up the rest of this loop. Select these two and move them to taper the neck. Select all and shade smooth. Name this new object. We're going to make some major changes to the dress, so duplicate the dress and make an archived version. And throw it away in the archive folder. In object mode, drop the subdivision resolution to 1 and apply the modifiers from top to bottom. Tab into edit mode and switch into wireframe view. Box select half of this object and delete it. Add a mirror modifier again and go back into solid view. This dress is looking pretty good as is, but I'm going to make a few changes. Turn on proportional editing, adjust the upper part of her dress. This is a perfectly usable dress object, but I'm going to retopo the dress to get the exact topology I want. Alt-select this bottom edge loop, duplicate with Shift-D, separate with P. In Object Mode, select this new object and tab into Edit Mode. Select All. Rename this new object. Go back into the main dress object and Alt-select this loop. Duplicate and separate with P. Select these two objects in the outliner and join with Ctrl-J. I just want to use these two loops as the beginning of my new topology. They're pretty evenly spaced as is, but the edges back here seem slightly larger to me. So I did some adjusting. Fill in the faces. In the Object Properties tab, enable in front on the Retopo object. And flatten. Try to keep these loops fairly even. Turn off and on proportional editing as needed. Now start the retopo process. Shift-Tab is the shortcut to enable snapping. Snap the vertices to the guide object. Select all and shade smooth. Remember to disable snapping before extruding loops up. Scale by 0 on the Z-axis to flatten out as you go. Re-enable snapping and place vertices. Turn on clipping in the mirror modifier. Continue on up. While retopoing with snapping, you can lock the Z-axis by hitting Shift-Z after grabbing. I didn't do this, but it will keep your edge loops lined up if you're into that. Enable the reference, and go into wireframe view. Let's line up our vertices with this blue line on the reference. Our shape tapers a lot, so we won't need as many vertices from here on up. So select these vertices and dissolve edges with X. This face is now an n-gon, or a face that has more than 4 vertices, so select these 2 vertices in this order and merge at last with M. Blender automatically triangulates everything, so n-gons aren't that much of an issue. But if you want the geometry to look in a specific way, just manually make tris and quads. Continue retopoing. Make sure to go into wireframe view and line up your geometry with the reference. We don't need this vertex, so select it and dissolve with hex. Dissolve this vertex as well. The upper half of her body is a little more complex. We're going to attempt to separate the outline of her dress with an edge. Disable clipping so that we can extrude this vertex away from the mirror line, and shape in her dress. Extrude this vertex to the corner point on the reference, and fill in these faces. This line lines up with the reference, so we're doing pretty well. Extrude this vertex to about here. And fill in this area with an n-gon for now. Keep filling in faces, we'll probably change this a bit. Use the knife tool with K to cut in an edge here. Grab each of these new vertices and snap them to the guide object. In wireframe view, it's looking like it matched the reference pretty well so far. I suppose we can combine the neck object with this one and connect them up. Tab into edit mode. Select the neck object and dress joined with Ctrl J. Tab back into edit mode. Enable backface culling, and I guess some of our guide objects' normals are flipped. In object mode, select the dress guide object, tab into edit mode, select all, Ctrl N or Shift N to recalculate normals outside. Back into the retopo object. Let's roughly frame in the upper body to match the reference. Disable snapping and manually move to match the reference. Match in front and side view. Extrude into about here and snap to the guide object. Fill in these faces. Select all and recalculate outside. Create a loop around the neck. Enable clipping when working near the center line. And it looks a little weird, so select all and shade smooth. Continue to position and fill in faces. Cut in lines with the knife tool. Cut in two edges like this to make a low poly sternum thing. Snap and pull this vertex down slightly. Cut in another edge here to get rid of this n-gon. Select this edge and mark as sharp. Add an edge split modifier. Disable edge angle. Maybe cut in an edge here and snap the new vertices to the guide. Grab this vertex and move it forward and up a bit. And this one back a bit as well. You might have better luck if you disable snapping first. Let's cut in another edge here. And give her chest some shape. Disable the visibility of the guide object. Turn off backface culling, and that's looking pretty good. Maybe make a few minor changes. Let's archive our old dress object. Time to make the little frills at the bottom of the dress. Alt select this loop and extrude down. Move these edges so they line up with the middle of the frills. To make it easier to see what we're doing, go into side view. Select these back vertices and hide them with H. Go back into front view and cut in an edge with the knife tool that matches the reference. Now just shift stuff around so that it lines up with the reference. Cut in the next one. If you mess up like I did, select this edge and hit F3, search for subdivide. Match it to the reference. Select and delete these vertices. Match in front and side view. Select these two vertices and hit J. These two as well. Do the same on this side. Select these two and join. And these two. Select all these bunched up vertices and hit M to merge at center. Switch to edge select and alt select this group of edges. We want to dissolve them, but it'll have some issues because it's near the mirror line. So select these two vertices and duplicate with Shift D. Now select our edges again and dissolve with X. Fill back in these faces. Select all and merge by distance with M, just to make sure there aren't any double vertices. Recalculate outside for good measure. Unhide with Alt H. That looks pretty good, so let's do the rest. Might want to switch to the second reference group for the back one. Hide stuff as needed. Delete the extra vertices. Unhide with Alt H. Join up vertices with J as we did before. Merge at center, and keep going. Duplicate these two vertices in case. I think they just stay there. Just the faces got deleted, but it's fine. Dissolve the edge. Fill in faces and merge by distance. Recalculate outside and shade smooth. And that's looking good. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, leave us a like. Feel free to subscribe if you're not already. We appreciate you all. Love you. Goodbye. Be safe.